How's everybody doing today?
Well, how are you?
Good.
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 Al, with playoffs not on the line and this being the last game of the season, do you ever get the temptation to like try something new or maybe throw something that you wouldn't normally?
No, not really. Our focus is just, trying to defend the New Orleans offense and what they do and trying to give ourselves and put our players in the best possible position to win the game, not necessarily go outside the realms of doing other things.
Marquis Haynes has been on like kind of a hot streak in the second half of the season. What's he done that's made him such a good closer with the pass rush over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think when you look at Marquis as a player, he has tremendous athletic ability, speed, burst. He can come off the ball, and when he gets a great jump on the snap, he has a good chance of beating an offensive tackle around the edge. I think he's just kind of gotten into a rhythm and started to get into a flow, and with that comes tremendous confidence in his ability. I think he's doing a really nice job of studying tape, studying the offensive line and the challenges that present themselves, and where he can kind of use his toolbox to his advantage in terms of when he's going against offensive tackles, how deep the quarterback's setting in the pocket, all of those kind of things, how quick the ball's coming out. So I think he's done a real nice job of that.
Now, last week you guys were talking about Josh and whether he'd be ready or not. Do you feel like he's getting closer to that? Could he be more of a factor this week?
I do. I think another week of preparation, conditioning, all of those things in our system. He's more equipped this week to help us and play more reps for us this week. Yes.
Is he a guy, if you and the rest of the staff are back, you'd like to see return?
I love Josh. I love his demeanor. I love the way he plays the game. I love his approach, his study habits. I love what he brings to the defensive back room in terms of leadership and all of those things. We'll see at the end of the season. That's not really my place right now. But obviously I love Josh and think he adds value to us.
Do you think Burns took a step this year in his development, and if so, where?
I think Brian did take a step this year. Brian's a really intellectual football player that can do a lot of different things within the scope of our defense. So the more he's around the game, the more he understands our system, the more he continues to grow as a player. And so, yeah, I do think that he did take a step. I think, when I look back to OTAs in the offseason, I think one of the things that he did was get bigger and get stronger, which helped him in terms of the run game and also, with some of his power moves as a pass rusher.
Yeah, I was going to ask that about setting the edge. Do you, I don't know, was there that fine line between not wanting to get too big where he loses that speed rush? How do you balance it, and do you think he did?
Yeah, I do. Again, I can't remember. I don't remember exactly, Joe, how much weight he gained, but he did bulk up and he did get stronger. So I thought that helped him in the run game. We're constantly going to try to encourage our players to continue to grow physically. And as they get older, they mature and they do naturally grow. So I don't think that him getting any bigger would diminish any of his skill sets or his change of direction or anything of that nature, no.
The last time we talked to you this year or this season, so what do you see this defense needing moving forward for the defense to take another step?
I think, that'll be evaluated at the end of the year. You're always looking at the roster in terms of where you can improve and in certain positions, but we'll deal with that at the end of the season.
You mentioned Brian Burns taking a step. Who do you feel is your, best breakout player this year that may have been underrated that you saw the biggest growth?
Well, I think Frankie Luvu's had a heck of a year. He missed a couple games early on in the year, but the tenacity and the speed in which he plays the game, I think he's been a factor for us in the run game and in the pass game. I think coming into the season, not a lot of people knew about Oos, and and he's had a really positive, impact on our defense this year.
You obviously have a long history with Shaq, but I was just curious, what has his leadership meant to this defense this season?
It's been phenomenal. He's been consistent, each and every day, and Shaq's grown into that position. Before when he was a young player, you obviously had guys like Luke and Thomas and those guys in the room, and he really learned a lot from those guys. But he's really taken ownership on the defensive side of the ball, and also from a team standpoint. And he's become a vocal leader for us, and he's grown into that position, and he's done a fantastic job with it.
If this turns out to be your last year with Shaq, what would you say his impact has been on this franchise? There were a lot of comparisons when he first came in to those guys you mentioned. How do you think he's been able to make his own mark?
Well, his consistency, I think over the last several seasons, his numbers have been really good in terms of his production. When you look at Shaq, the first thing when I think about Shaq is I think of versatility. I think of modern day linebacker, a guy who can play in the box, but also, a player that can play out in space and cover running backs, tight ends, at times even receivers. So his versatility is something that has had a huge impact in that room since he's gotten here, and it's been positive for Shaq. It's been really positive for Shaq, and all of those things from when he was a young player to where he's grown today, I think has had an impact from when Luke and Thomas and those guys were here, and he's just kind of grown and grown and grown into who the player he is today.
Steve was talking about Kenny Robinson yesterday going home, and have you talked to him today or any update on how he's doing?
Yeah, I think Kenny's back in the building. I believe he is. I haven't seen him yet today, though. But when I do, I plan on talking to him.
How tough has that been just for you having to deal with talking to players about all this?
Yeah, it's an extremely difficult situation. It's sad. We're all are praying and hopeful that things turn out in a positive light, and the players react to it because they're so close. Some of them are so close to the actual person, and then also the fact that they play the game, and when you look at the game and they're in the same position as what happened the other night, you can empathize and understand where their minds are at times. So it's been difficult, but we're pushing through here.
All good? I have another one. Case, because I don't think we're going to talk to you again. And I know this is above your pay grade or whatever, but if you were going to make a case for the Panthers to keep Steve, what would you say to David Tepper?
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything right now. I'm just really, that's out of my realm, as you already mentioned, out of my pay grade, and we're focused on playing a good game in New Orleans on Sunday, Joe.
What about just then more generally, Al, about what the job you've seen Steve do in this 13-week interview?
Yeah, I think Steve is a tremendous football coach and a great leader of men, and I know that there's been a groundswelling of support and different things of that nature for Steve. But right now, I know his focus is on New Orleans. My focus is on New Orleans, and that's where it stays at right now.
Sam's been stellar for you guys.
I'm sorry?
Sam's been stellar for you guys on the special team. Sam Franklin.
Yes.
Had the fumble last week. He's made plays at safety.
Yeah.
How can he factor more in to the defense and maybe next year moving forward? Sam's in our rotation. He's in the pack. We have some packages for Sam. That we feel like he can contribute for us on defense, and as he continues to grow, into that role, because when he first came here, we spent time with him, kind of coached him as a big nickel linebacker type of guy, and then he transitioned to safety. So, seeing the game from back there in that scope, the more and more reps that he gets with his athleticism and range and his ball skills, and like you mentioned, punching the ball out, he's going to continue to grow and improve, and I'm excited about Sam.
You mentioned how coaches learn daily, weekly, monthly. I'm just curious, what have you learned about your style of coordinating since you took on this interim job that maybe you didn't have the knowledge of the last time you were in the position?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say I didn't have knowledge of it the last time I was a coordinator. You know, I believe in taking the personnel and the pieces that we have and trying to put them in the best possible position to be successful based on their skill set. So that's what we're trying to do. That's what we try to do each and every week is try to put guys in the best possible position to accentuate their talents, their skill set, all of those things, and then let them go play and not give them too much really to think about. So just, you know, really minimizing the volume, maximizing the execution is what we're trying to get done. And obviously this is a matchup league, just trying to get guys in the right position based on the personnel that we currently have.
Do you think Steve might get opportunities elsewhere, Al, based on the things you mentioned?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't speak for what some other organization may be thinking about at this point in time. Like I said, there's a lot of speculation. I'm just really trying to do my job and get these guys ready to play on Sunday.
I know you said you evaluate what this defense needs after the season, but the pieces that you have and the style that you played this year, did that fit, or do you have the pieces that fit that, or were there different things you'd rather have to fit your style of defensive philosophy?
Yeah, I think every offseason as a staff you go back and you evaluate, okay, what do you have, okay, who you are, and then you try to evolve as a coach and say, okay, you know, what's the vision moving forward, and do we have, you know, certain pieces in order to fulfill and fit that vision and that brand of football, that style of football or defense that we're trying to play. So we have a lot of good players on our defense, a lot of impactful players, a lot of young players that have to continue to grow and develop, and we have to develop them.
Miles Hartsfield is a guy who's pretty versatile.
Yes.
What do you envision his role being long term? All things being equal, no injuries, where do you think he best fits?
He's kind of a Swiss Army knife, and so and Miles is a really, really intellectual player who understands football. You know, so it's a combination of being a safety, being a nickel, being a hybrid linebacker. You know, he kind of fits all of those things, and based, again, going back to the matchups and the game plan and who we're playing, we would try to deploy him in a way that would, you know, suit his skill set more than anything. Love Miles, though. McAdoo just busted in on me. Oh, he's going to give me a hard time, I promise you. He does every week. He does every week. Hey, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thanks.